Okay, guys. What are my stats? 30 vigor. Okay, so far we have killed Dragon Rider, Flexile, and Last Giant. We do not have the Soldier's Key. We have a Red Rust Scimitar plus 5, which is pretty good. We also have this pike, but it's so, like, heavy is the thing. We could go try to fight, whatever Ornstein is, I guess. It's only boss rando. So for those who don't know, all the bosses and all the enemies in the game are doubled. So there's twice the amount of enemies and twice the amount of bosses. It's honestly kind of fucked up. I do have scaling on now though, so some of these early areas are not that bad, thankfully. As you can see, these enemies are kind of like, they're kind of weak. Because without scaling, it's honestly just kind of miserable. Like, there's just, it's just such a slog. Oh, goodbye. The nice thing about, yeah, so you get less souls from the enemies if you have scaling on. That kind of hurt, actually. Yeah, so like the early game is gonna be quite a fair bit easier. Okay, dude. Why'd you gotta delay your frickin' shot like that, man? These guys are... Let's try this. What's up, Alex? Hello, B-Rock. Hey, Duckman. I mean, as you can see, the enemies, they really don't hit that hard. But on the other hand, the late game is going to be a lot harder. These are like the most early game areas, so they're a lot. They're pretty weak. Dude, I still can't believe you can teleport in Doom the Dark Ages. That's like so crazy. So for those who didn't see, in the new Doom game, if you mantle a ledge, like if you know in the game when you climb a ledge, your character like there's an animation for climbing the ledge. So when you're doing that, if you open the map and like move the map somewhere else, it will teleport you to where the map is, where you're looking at the map. So you basically climb a ledge, open the map, and you'll just get teleported. You could just teleport yourself anywhere on the map. It's like actually insane. All right, here we go, guys. What do we got? Oh, Jesus. This isn't too bad, actually. Actually, it's kind of hard. I mean, not that hard, but... I mean, as you can see, the bosses are still pretty like, I have a pretty well upgraded weapon here, and I mean, this, I mean, the bosses are still pretty fucking tanky. So is the game sound okay, chat? I'll turn it down a little bit. Wait, we got the aged feather? Really? Damn. That's really good. I didn't see that. No rest for the wicked where you could just use the map and TB. Oh yeah, I can't believe they... Yeah, I remember that. You could... They left in like the dev function in No Rest for the Wicked where you could just teleport to any location on the map. I don't remember how it worked, but... Classic baby seeds. Honestly, the early game is like... The early game is pretty chill. With the 2x, at least with the scaling on. But the thing is, like, once I leave the early game areas, like, I don't have any easy fights anymore, I don't think. Maybe Pursuer would be kind of easy. But it's only gonna get harder from here on. Wait, do I have the silver cat ring? No. Double Rune Sentinel. Yeah, Rune Sentinel is going to be 6 bosses. Gargoyle is going to be 12 bosses. Like... I'm fucked. It's actually just... Yeah. It's just... It's... I don't know. Those probably shouldn't be doubled. Yeah, probably. Yeah, Vanguard is also doubled. Well, I don't know exactly how Vanguard works. Did we loot up the wharf? I don't think we actually did.
Go forth. Touch the demon inside me.
What is the scaling on? It's set to 75%. So it's on the default setting. Wait, we haven't gone to Shaded Woods yet. Okay, let's go to Shaded Woods. Although, I'll be honest, Shaded Woods is kind of scary, chat. Because it's a higher level zone. So the enemies are going to be a lot stronger. Yeah, I finished the normal Permadeath Randomizer. I'm gonna be putting out like a YouTube video for the run as well. Somewhat soonish. Not sure exactly when. They don't. What the? What is that? Oh, it's a hand enemy. Yeah, so I'm allowed to tell people about it now, chat. I will be on the 28th. I will be participating in a Night Rain tournament. I am the team leader, and well, I already chose my teammates, but I don't think I'm allowed to say who's on my team yet. But it's a sweaty team. Ooh, poison arrows. Did you pick the archer guy from the demo at PAX? That's Bandai Namco's staff. They will not be on my team. Yeah, it's like an official Bandai Namco tournament. Yeah, I mean, I imagine I'll be able to tell you guys like more soon. I don't want to reveal stuff I'm not supposed to. Maybe I'm actually allowed to already say. I don't know. I gotta say, the mobs here still don't seem too strong overall. What the? Still counts as Majula. Yeah, maybe once you get like maybe this area in particular is still pretty downscaled. Honestly though, like if we were doing this without scaling, we would probably be like 3.5 hours into the run right now. Like I had a run, so when I first started doing this the double randomizer, I was doing it without scaling, and it took me an hour and a half to get through the forest fog gate. Man, it's like impossible to strafe that attack. Okay, I think they're buff. I think these guys are stronger. It looks like it. Yeah, these guys are definitely... Oh, God. No, you don't. Oh my God. Let's hit him with the poop. Oh. Oh! Trying to grab me. Dude, he's spamming the grab. What a menace. You're saving up and you have to pick between Bloodborne or RDR2. Well, I mean, if you ask me, I will say Bloodborne. I quit Red Dead 2 because I got incredibly bored. Token of spite. Wait, is that what you need to talk to the guy after Ornstein? Bro, what the fuck is this? Oh my God, I'm kind of scared. Kind of want to just run through. You know, if I go AFK for long enough, maybe we just stall for another hour. Let the fire guy kill this guy. No. Oh God, it's the permastun guy. That is a nasty group of enemies. My goodness. Curious, how many of you guys in chat are getting a... Wait, do I have King's Ring? Oh my God, I do. We could go to Aldea's Keep, but Aldea's Keep is going to be like really strong. Aldea's Keep is going to be like normal damage on the bosses. Do we have bright bugs? We have no bright bugs. Okay, my bad. Yeah, how many of you guys are getting a Switch? A Switch 2? I mean, I'm not getting one yet either. I'm just curious.
brings you on this journey.
What's up, Zaz? Yeah. Oh wait, no, that's not Zaz. Sorry, Hello. You have a red name, and so does Zaz. I thought you were Zaz. Never knew there was a merchant here. Hmm. Yeah, he normally sells gold pine resin. It's just, it's been so long since you've been here, Hello. I'm not used to it. Blood-stained skirt. That is a tanky turtle. The red name chatters. I've always had my blue name. What the? What is that? Oh, it's a pig. Hey, November, thank you for the 32 months, buddy. Thank you very much, man. Much appreciated. Stone Parma. Wait, the Stone Parma's actually pretty good, isn't it? Like it has 100. Yeah, it has 100 fizz resist, and it's pretty lightweight. What the? There's like two more items we can loot here. One here. Simpleton's ring. One there, and I think maybe one more. I think there's one more item like next to a tree here. So. Oh, here we go. Ooh, that's a good item. That's 75k souls, I think. Rat. $14 deaths, was that all on the same day? Mm-hmm. Alright, I think I might just go rush to the boss fight. I don't know, we've got like a pretty good weapon. Kind of want to just get some more boss kills if we can. We'll get 99 ADP, or agility, I mean. Alright. Why do I keep changing to bow? When you're two-handing your left hand, you can loot stuff faster and like interact with stuff faster. Do we have another? Oh, we have 2 branches. That was good face tanking. Come on, buddy. Alright, fine. I'll just kill you then. I was gonna say there's supposed to be an enemy down here, but it was Vangarl. Oh god. This enemy, man. Did I use this branch? I think it's fine. What's going on in the background? Nothing? I don't know. What do you mean? Oh, what is that glowing in the background? I misread your message. That's Pontiff. Oh. That's the shard. Nice. Dude, I swear if they don't put DLC bosses in Night Rain, I'm gonna be like very disappointed. Cause like you have so many cool DLC bosses. Like why No. I don't mean DLC bosses from Elden Ring. I mean DLC bosses from the other games. Because I mean, there's Centipede Demon, but it's like Centipede Demon is so it's like why? I mean, I don't know. Hopefully there's you know, like Burnt Ivory King or Fume Knight, or imagine like Orphan of Kos. Or, I mean, I don't know if they are going to be allowed to put, like, Bloodborne bosses in the game. Like, maybe that's, like, because Sony is, like, involved or something. Or, like, Midir, yeah, Ludwig, Gale, Frida. I don't know, there's, like, so many cool... Yeah, Manus, Artorias. God. A dark, saucy class. Yeah. Definitely. Alright, guys. Here we go. This could be the end of the run. Alana plus Demon of Song. That's not that bad. Bruh. Dude, stop that. Dude, his fat face made me get stunned for so long. Stop that. I sound disappointed when I get easy bosses. Not necessarily. Shit. I just know that people are gonna say baby seed if, oh shit. That's not good. Oh god. Just need. Oh, dude, her flame is getting stuck on the tree. Oh shit. Dude, come on! Fuck you! That did so much. What was that? What is he doing? No! God, dude! Every time I go... Nice. That's good. I probably should have put another resin on. It's okay though. Alright. Nice. That was a little sketchy. But we managed. Extended hit stun is the worst part in this game. Yeah, and if you get hit multiple times in a like back to back, you can't. There's no sort of like stun lock prevention measure in this game. If enemies combo, if enemies time their attacks perfectly, you can get comboed forever. Like just stunned for 50 hits in a row. Yeah, so we can buy healing. Since we're doing 2x, I turned on the life gems at Malentia because, oh god, I don't like this. Oh. Thought I told Malentia to leave. I guess not. Is there a 2x rando for the other games? Yeah. Did she fucking die? Wait. What? Oh shit, I went to the wrong bonfire. What is happening? Hey, Dark and Matter, thank you for the 19 months as well. Do I have to rest to get? That's so weird. The fuck? All right, life gems acquired. All right, we're gonna go to I kind of want to go to the Skelly Lords fight and just see what it's like. Kind of. Yeah, I do have an Estus shard. I forgot to turn it in. Can't go to sleep, it's too hot. Yeah, I absolutely despise being too hot in bed. It's like so uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm definitely a winter enjoyer. Add mosquitoes. Dude. When I went to Belgium, what the fuck, 2 rings? When I went to Belgium, chat, there was like a mosquito, one single fucking mosquito that was, does this crown give stats? I can't remember. Wow, you get life gems from this guy too? And resonant weapon. Poison mist too? Come again. But yeah, this mosquito was gives some stats, removes others. Oh yeah, it gives like instant fate, doesn't it? There was a mosquito that was stuck in this Airbnb that we rented, and it was like, it was there for like 3 or 4 days, and every single time I would lay down, and then all of a sudden it would go right next to my fucking ear, and you hear the buzzing, right? And like, it was like, I'm about to fall asleep, right in your ear, and I was like, I got so fucking mad. It was so, like, I was so fucking angry, because every time I would hear it, I would like, I'd turn on the lights, like look around, I would literally just sit on my bed, just like, where the fuck is it? Where the fuck is this piece of shit? And it was like, I just could not find this fucking thing. And it was multiple nights in a row. It was, oh my god, it was like the worst mosquito I've ever seen in my fucking life. The misery mosquito, yeah. God. It was so bad, man. So bad.
Is that a shard? To see, however.
Also, I like how Melentia is no longer Goblin. What happened? Dude, like, it's crazy that one single mosquito could, like, ruin several nights of sleep. It was so, oh my god, it was so bad. We bought, like, the thing that you plug in the wall that is supposed to, like, kill mosquitoes or whatever, and it didn't even work. It was just... It was like the most... I don't know how this thing managed to hide so well. Yeah, Belgian mosquitoes are built different, actually, though. What happened to it? I think it just, like, died of old age. I don't think I ever even managed to kill it. Asian mosquitoes are the worst nightmare. You know what's also fucked up is those like bees, those fucking killer hornets. God, those things are like made by Satan himself. Dude, they're fucking massive, and they don't do anything for like the ecosystem. They just like murder normal bees. Oh shit, what the fuck? Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh, this is actually not good. What am I looking at? Is that a lizard? Is that a... Oh. Where did the giant go? Did he fall to his death? It looks like he's gone now. Great keeper's great hand. What the... Sword is good, yeah, it's shredding. Oh, luckily I think the giant fell down, so that's good. Absolutely love this game, playing it right now. Wish it had co-op options. There's actually somebody who's making a mod for Dark Souls 2, so you can play through it, like, the whole game with your friend without having to reconnect, or like... It's called Seamless Co-op. I don't think it's out yet, though. Man, I smell coffee again. What the what is this smell? Why do I keep smelling like coffee grounds? That's not good. Okay, yeah. I'm dying, clearly. Might be the sandstorm. Yeah, maybe. I do like the smell. I I don't know why I'm smelling it. I like how everybody in chat's just like, yeah, you're fucking you're dead, you're dying. What if like Larksa just made coffee or something? Two times, yeah. I don't know. Oh no. There's so many of these guys, what the hell? This area actually seems fairly, like, weak. Wait, did she actually say she made coffee? Ah. You have to use the items you get as well. No. Oh. What's the difference with the new rando? Well, so this new rando has double bosses and double enemies. I am doing it with scaling on, so like enemies and bosses in the early game wait, there's an item in there? Enemies and bosses in the early game areas are not going to be as strong, but in the late game it will basically be the same, if not harder. It's just, the thing is, with double the enemies, it's like, it's kind of, it's really, really fucking shitty having to kill like super upscaled enemies and like not to mention double of them too. So like for example, when I first started doing the new randomizer, the double randomizer, I was doing it without the scaling, you know, like we used to. And it took me an hour and a half to kill to clear the fog gate in Forest of the Fallen Giants and get to the bonfire, like next to Malentia. It took me an hour and a half of like painfully baiting one enemy over like to a cave and then killing him and so on and so forth. It was really, really shitty. going back to Majula for heals. I mean, it was kind of epic once we actually managed to, like, finish, but... Ooh! I don't know, it's just, it's so RNG. Is the thing. What the? Then you got blasted off the big sword. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the early game is definitely a lot easier. Like, as you can tell, I'm just kind of... I'm just kind of like shredding through a lot of these enemies. The boss fights are like the hardest part about this run, though. Because every fight is going to be 2 bosses at once. What's with those items? Ooh! Gulch it up. Dude, my weapon is gonna... Oh my gosh. My durability is getting low, though. Do I have repair powder? Shit. I mean, come to think of it, Skelly Lords might not actually be that bad if it's downscaled. Maybe. Will I play Wu Chang Fallen Feathers? It's a new Souls-like, right?
Toilet bitch.
Are we just naming them anything? Yeah, the name for that game is kind of weird. I agree.
Fucking hell! Fuck!
I do feel like I'm just mowing down these guys, though, like feeling a little OP. That hedgehog wasn't skilled, you'd be dead. Well, wait. Huh. To be fair, I also wouldn't have been that greedy if... What the fuck's going on? What? Did he duplicate? I had enough decks. I just want to see what it's like. So we have Aldea, Iron Cow. Jesus. What was that? Aldea, Iron King, Watcher, Dragon Rider, Demon of... Or no. Wait. Aldea, Iron King, Watcher, Chariot, Dragon Rider. I don't know what the sixth one was. That's easy. Yeah. Yeah, is it? Boy. Journal. Lead, okay.
Fuck
What?
off!
What am I doing?
Fucking hell! Fuck!
Dragon Rider and Iron Throne Watcher can be killed fast. Yeah, that's true. Honestly, it's not that bad of a combo. Genuinely. Alright, well, we have enough health to survive this. Oh wait, we never looted the well here? Ooh, nice. I'm excited for the Liza P DLC. I am, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for it. Wait, it's a hype train again. Yo, Bogdan, thank you for the 2 gifted subs. So I guess hype train is still a thing, but there's also the treasure train now. Oh shit. Well, the treasure train thing, I mean, I'm a bit of a hater of the hype train, but the treasure train thing is actually kind of cool because, so for those who don't know, they added a new, it's basically like a new hype train, except the new one gives you, once you, what is it, like once you hit level 5 or something, gifted subs are 35% off if you gift more than 5. So basically you can like gift subs to the streamer for way cheaper, and you're basically just giving all, like, I don't know about 100, if it's like 100%, but majority of the gifted sub amount goes towards the streamer, rather than, you know, like normally you're paying $2.50 to Twitch, but with that discount, you know, you're basically just, you get subs for like the exact amount that you'd be giving to the streamer. Make a bad deal so the normal deal seems better. Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. I mean, gifted subs are normally what, like, oh fuck. Gifted subs are normally what, $6? At least for me, I guess. So, I mean, with the discount, you get it for what, $3.90, and then the streamer gets what, 3.5. So, pretty good. $7.99. Are you on mobile? I know it's like more expensive on mobile. Hello, Fume. Do you make anything on YouTube? Do you mean like money, or do you mean like videos? And yeah, I make money off my YouTube. I haven't been making that much lately off my YouTube because I've been kinda, I think I've put out like 2 videos in the past 5 months. I don't know, I haven't been doing that much like Souls content, so my YouTube channel's kind of like fallen off a bit, I guess. Night Rain will fix that. I don't know if Night Rain is going to be that good for YouTube or not, but I mean, when Night Rain comes out, I would like to put out, like, I want to put out runs of each class, like full runs for each class, like beating, you know, beating all 8 of the bosses with, you know, the Raider or the Iron Eye, or yeah, I want to finish a full like loop of Night Rain on each class. I think that would be like a good, yeah, I want to try to solo with all the classes. And then I guess there's the potential for like Ruin level 1. Or like level 1 Night Rain as well. Permadeath all classes back to back. Well, I wouldn't be back to back. The thing is, like, a full run of all 8 bosses, chat, is it's gonna be like a fucking, I mean, I don't know. Each run of Night Rain is 30 to 40 minutes long. So you're looking at, like, if you want to do a full run of all 8 bosses, or assuming it's 8, I don't know if it's 8, but that's gonna be like a 4-hour run, or like 5 hours to do a run of all the bosses. Unless there's a way to actually speed up the days, which maybe there is. You have negative hype for Night Rain. Looks cool, but you're over Elden Ring content. Yeah, that's fair. So, Souls content on YouTube has kind of like fallen off. Or maybe it's just like my channel, but yeah, it's the viewership for Souls content has kind of gone down a lot. I think people are just, Like, whenever FromSoft actually releases a new IP, I think the... hype will come back a lot. Peaked with Only Up. I still can't believe how popular Only Up was. People are only posting PvP stuff now. Dusk Blood era. Alright, well, here we go, guys. I think this fight... Yeah, these... So how does this work, actually, I wonder? So the thing is, this actually has nothing to do with scaling, by the way. Like, this is how the fight normally is. Normally, they're just really weak. So, is there 2 of them now? Where's the other boss? Wait, what? I think Chains Boyo fucked up. Yeah, I think, well, so like the thing is, I don't know how much testing was put in, like I don't know if he tested that much. Yeah, I don't think we can actually kill this boss right now, guys. It seems like the duplicated version of the boss has, like, isn't functioning properly. Yeah, I'll have to tell him. Is there an option for enemy scaling where it has an appropriate level enemy pool instead? No. You could re-randomize? Yeah. Yeah, I could also just count it as dead. But the thing is, there's some items that I won't be able to access. Unless I get the Moonlight Butterfly skirt. Or wings, because then I can just jump over the ledge. I can still get the items behind the boss if I get the butterfly skirt. Why did the boss respawn? That's just how the fight works. No way to auto kill it. Honestly, I don't think so. It's weird though that he's trying to get revived when. I don't know, maybe if you kill... Maybe if you kill the one that's trying to get revived first, and then you kill the other one, it would like count. I don't know. I think it's just bugged though. I think it's fucked. I think it's fucked up. The logic thinks there's a second boss. It's waiting for res. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I could try again, but I don't think... I don't know. I'll just have to send the mod creator a message and see. I mean, worst case, we either just like, we either just skip it, or maybe we could like re-roll the randomizer later on, potentially. I don't know. I mean, we could do this fight last if we make it there, which we definitely won't, but we could do this fight last and like re-roll the rando at the very end or something, I guess. I don't know. This happened to you on the gargoyle fight room too? Oh, really? Hmm. Yeah, I guess I could see that happening in the gargoyle fight, because I guess it's like for some reason another boss being in the zone just makes him confused. I don't know. I'll send Chains Boyo a message. It's cool when somebody gives 100 subs, but then you realize it's somewhere where subs are $1 each. I mean, that's just kind of rude, because at the end of the day, somebody's still supporting you. And, like, that's a lot of money for them. Like, if it's you know, $1 per sub, there's a reason it's that cheap, right? Because, like, the economy where that person lives, you know, their money isn't worth as much. So... yeah, that's kind of fucking... it's kind of like scummy to say, to be honest. Like, at the end of the day, somebody's supporting you, and you should be grateful. Yo, the Kurt, thank you for the 25 months. Thank you, man. Can people send subs from different countries using a VPN? Yeah. Yeah, that might be possible. Probably is possible, yeah. But I mean, you don't know. Either way, I mean, I'm never, when I get a gifted sub, I'm not, or like a bunch of gifted subs, my first thought isn't, oh, I wonder if I'm, like, how much money I'm gonna get from it. You know, like, I don't, yeah. I don't know. I think I'm probably gonna call it a night here, guys. I know we haven't been streaming for that long, but I kind of want to get some dinner, and I wasn't planning on even streaming today, so I know we stalled for longer than we actually played the game today, but yeah, I'm just I'm a little worn out. I wasn't gonna, like I said, I wasn't planning on streaming today, so. I am going to go get some dinner, I think. But I appreciate you guys all being here. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, I think we'll just continue the DS2 run tomorrow. We're definitely getting into like the more difficult territory now of the run. I'm not sure, like, I gotta say, I like having the scaling on, but it does feel like the early game is maybe a little too easy. Like, it's nice being able to get a run going, but it's, I don't know. The enemies are definitely not like that much of a threat in the early game. So it's hard to, I don't know. I guess we gotta find like a better balance, maybe. I mean, it's... Souls games just scale weird. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't think having an easy time... I mean... Am I gonna hop on one weapon per boss? No. No, I don't think so. Because, I mean... Like, if... If I have to fight 2 bosses every time... And I'm forced to use some, like, giga shit weapon, like... That's just... Like, imagine I throw away all my good weapons, right? And without the 2x, well, but that's not what we're doing. We're doing it with 2x. So, like, what you're proposing is changing the run completely. The whole point was to do 2x, you know? It's so quiet. I mean, the boss fights, I guess what I can say is that the scaling definitely makes the early game easier, but the boss fights are definitely still challenging. The enemies in the early game are definitely, like, you know, they're kind of like, I'm 1 or 2 shotting most of the enemies early on. Honestly, I kind of feel like getting a... I don't know, having like a +4 or +5 weapon right off the bat is what's making it very easy. But the thing is, if I didn't have such a strong weapon, the double boss fights would be horrible. Like, the double fight that was in the last giant arena, they had 10,000 health. Like, total, combined. So, and I mean, the Najka fight as well. I mean, you guys saw that. Demon of Song and Alana were still super tanky. Like, that fight took a long time, even with my upgraded weapon. So, trying to do these double fights with, like, a +1 or like a non-upgraded weapon would be horrible. It would be so bad. I don't know. We'll continue tomorrow and see how it goes. I still think we're probably just... The run is probably just going to be rip on, like, gargoyles or skeleton lords, or maybe like gang squad. I don't know. 6 fights, 6 bosses in 1 room is really, really fucked up. The skelly lords that we got in this seed actually seems kind of doable. Does that mean the skelly fight will also bug because there's a throne watcher? I don't know, maybe. What if you use summons? Well, if you summon in this game, it doubles the health of the boss. So, summoning is not a good idea, basically. Yeah. What should I get for dinner tonight, chat? Ramen. I think it's too late for ramen. Dude, there is this like ramen place that just opened up near me, and oh my god, it's so fucking good. I'm like so happy to have an actual good ramen place again. I don't know, there's like a few ramen places that I've been Doxed? What do you... Ah, yes. Go on Google and look up the good ramen place. You'll find me. Yeah, it's... Hey, Speedy, thank you for the 26 months. Yeah, it's really nice. New ramen place, America. Yeah, I'm super happy to actually have a good ramen place again. Some chicken flautas. That does sound pretty good. That does sound pretty fucking good. Yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you all for watching, guys. Can maybe find somebody to raid. Yeah, it was really comfy just chilling and chatting with you guys at the start of the stream, though. Sorry we didn't do that much DS2 today. But we'll do a bit more tomorrow. I don't know if I'm just gonna do DS2 tomorrow. We might also do some other stuff. I may do a marathon this weekend, but don't count on it. I don't really have... If I think of a fun or like good idea tonight for a marathon, then maybe we'll do that this weekend. But yeah, it just kind of depends. Probably just continue with the DS2 challenge run tomorrow, though. Liza P soon. I don't know. Probably. I mean, I'm gonna play Liza P when the DLC comes out, but apart from that, I don't know. I've been thinking about doing another Liza P playthrough, but I'll probably play through Liza P again before the DLC comes out. I think that's kind of the plan. So, yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know who to raid, guys. You guys can just go watch whoever you want. We're not gonna raid somebody tonight. I don't know. I'm feeling, I don't know. Whatever. I'm just gonna call it a night. Thank you all for watching, guys. Appreciate you all being here. You're about to raid your bed. Me too. About to go raid the pantry. Yeah, I'll see you guys for some more DS2 tomorrow. I hope you've been enjoying the 2x rando. Honestly, it's been fun. I'm still not sure. Like, I'm kind of tempted to go back to no scaling because it does make the early game way more like exciting. I still think the boss fights are exciting, to be fair, with the scaling on, but the areas are kind of just a breeze now. So I don't know, maybe I just have to like, I mean, I could adjust the scaling values, or we could just embrace the torture. I don't know. If our run dies, maybe we'll go back to no scaling. I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe I'll just do no scaling, and instead of doing it permadeath, we'll just do like a, you know, just do it as a challenge run. We'll see. We'll see. I also want to play Convergence mod. I'm probably gonna try to do a playthrough of Convergence mod before Night Rain comes out. So, yeah. possibly do that. Lobos started it like a few days ago and has kind of inspired me to play it again. It's been a year or two since I played Convergence mod, so they've made like a ton of changes and added a bunch of new bosses and like reworked a bunch of areas in the game. Is this run dead? No, it's still going. Yeah, it's still going. Our Rat Vanguard fight bugged out a little bit though, so we can't actually kill Rat Vanguard. Alright, anyways, I have a hard time saying goodbye. I'm stalling the end of stream at this point. Alright, yeah. Have a good night, guys. Bye-bye, everybody.